We're getting it. 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 We're getting it.
What's going down, everybody? How's it going? I don't know how long this stream is going to be because it's been like every time like the weekend has gotten to a point, my energy is just, you know what I mean? It's just kind of like, but you know, I'm hoping I can belt out some opinions. You know, I probably won't say anything. I was going to like do a bunch of extra stuff, but I'll probably just talk about like Chainsaw Man in and of itself and not like anything too deep. Because like my energy is just gone. But anyway, yeah. I think to jump right into it. I think Chainsaw Man is a lot more simpler than I thought it was gonna be. Do you know what I mean? It was like, so looking at it through like a completely critical lens, it was the first like 3 volumes are very, very simple in the fact that they're not very introspective to any of the characters. The characters, yes, they do get some development and some complexity. They do have like complexities and stuff, and that's usually, in my opinion, to point towards like the main theme of the first like 30 volumes, right? Which is just which is how people form relationships and how people form relationships, in this world. Not specifically, but a lot of the relationships in Chainsaw Man are very how would you say, are very kind of like contracts, to borrow a term from the text. Everything is like, I will do X for Y or something like that, and if you don't have anything to give me, then I'm not going to give you anything. It's very much, it's what I call the contract worldview. Basically, it's like humans own, like, the person you are forming a relationship with only matters as much as what they can give you. So you can kind of see this throughout, with the characters, right? So we're going to take the first, Pochita and Denji. They are the first characters to form a relationship we see, right? And even that is kind of like, okay, I'll give you my blood if you help me work my way out of debt. And that continues and continues. And during a flashback, I think in volume 1, Denji says, he's like, look, if I'm going to die, then you can have my body and live a normal life, which isn't Pochita's express kind of, want. It's not his desire to live a normal life. What Denji is offering is his body for a normal life. It's not a self-sacrifice or, wanting his friend to be okay. To an extent, sure, he thinks a normal life is great and he wants that for his friend, but it's also like, it's his body. He wants to be sort of carried to that. His normal life is like, a normal life is like what he considers the best possible thing, and by offering his body for his friend to live that, what he's technically doing is going, okay, for my body, we get to live a normal life. It's still, to an extent, a trade rather than, an actual sort of like an actual support of his friend that he's not getting anything out of. And I think by the end of volume, no, not the end of volume, by the end of chapter 1, where Vegeta, I would say self-sacrifices, because he says he wants to see Denji's dreams, and you can take that in 2 ways, either the literal or the metaphorical, right? So the literal is he still gets to see what Denji dreams of and stuff like that. But what I see it as is more, he wants to see his best friend be able to live out, what he wants. He wants his like, Pochita wants his friend to be able to, eat good food, meet good people. Do you know what I mean? It's not like, he's not getting anything out of it. Yes, he is. He just wants to see his like friend be able to live a better life. And he does this by becoming like his heart. You know what I mean? He sort of, he does die in a very metaphorical sense. He's no longer, he can, like, what it matters to the text is that he is no longer alive. Like he is sure he's technically alive in the very literal sense, in the fact that he is his heart. But if you take it, but his role in the text is now kind of fulfilled to an extent, and therefore he is metaphorically dead. He now holds no sort of, like, because for the first 3 volumes he never comes back. He just stays quiet. So he, for all intents and purposes, he is dead. Sure, literally within the text he may be alive, but he holds no metaphorical value of being alive. So he's dead. He just self-sacrifices himself. And you can kind of see how shocked Denji is by this, because, like, he doesn't understand it. He's like, Pochita isn't getting anything out of it. Do you know what I mean? It's like, he says it's a contract, but it's not really. It's literally just I'm going to help you out there. It's not like it's not, the relationship he is used to with all the people around him. Because, like, for the longest time, like, the only people we really had were, Pochita and the Mafia. I think, no, the Yakuza, that's it. Sorry, wrong word. And it's kind of like, the Yakuza kind of, I would say, had this oppression on him, but, like, it's literally everyone else. So, he sees, like, giving, like, X to get Y as, like, a very normal thing. So when, like, Vegeta goes against that, he's very kind of shocked, which I think is, like, the beginning of... Oh, hello, Black Cat. How's it going? We're just talking Chainsaw Man. So just to summarize, I've literally been talking about how within the first 3 volumes of Chainsaw Man, it's, like, incredibly simple, in my opinion. Like, everything is either sort of like, it's either commenting directly on what the author wants to say about relationships, which is like, so like every relationship within the first 3 volumes, technically, except for the one between Denji and Pochita, is like a contract. It's literally, I give X to get Y out of you, and if I'm not able to get Y, then why am I concerning myself with you? That's like, you can see that with, like, well, I think I can't remember their name. I think Aki. I think the guy with the sword. I think that's a lovely touch. Is that he's not like Denji and Aki do not get along because they have nothing to offer each other. Do you know what I mean? Like, their relationship does not start by them going, I give, like, one of them offering X so the other can get Y. It's literally, they have nothing to offer each other except they have nothing physical or like anything to offer themselves that helps them towards their goals. So therefore, they are kind of antithetical towards each other. They argue all the time and they kind of hate each other. Well, hate is the wrong word. They don't like each other. But like everything. But let's take, for example, Makima, right? So Denji is just smitten with her. He kind of knows she's insane. Well, not insane, but like an awful, awful person. But what she is promising sort of makes him overlook that. Do you know what I mean? She knows that. So she knows that Denji wants kind of like, Denji wants kind of, he wants happiness. Do you know what I mean? He wants to be like, eat good food. Everything he desires, good food, to meet people, to get in relationships, stuff like that, is just like gearing him towards happiness. He thinks that will make him happy. That will lead him to a better life. And she knows that. So what she does is she uses that to make him subservient. Do you know what I mean? Because there's literally a line where it's like, we euthanize dogs we do not find useful. And I think that's interesting because, you know, he, like, it kind of, like, as, hang on, I don't, sorry, it's really struggles was no, but, you know, he kind of struggles with, like, no, sorry, so she knows he's, like, what's the word? No, so she knows what he wants, right? And because she knows what he wants, he can kind of, like, she can kind of make him. No, okay, so no, okay, no, I actually know what I'm trying to say now. Sorry, that was like such a terrible thing. No, but she is offering more than he is like offering her, and therefore he holds less value. So, like, with the kind of relationships, so the kind, okay, so what I refer to as the contract worldview is literally just people do not matter if they cannot give you something in return for something else, right? So between Makima and Denji, it is like she gives him, you know, good food, you know, opportunities. She's giving him a lot of things so that Denji may be, you know, subservient to her. And what kind of, because Makima sees like that as, sees what Denji is offering as somehow lesser, if you know what I mean. It's like it holds less value. She is therefore entitled to just like to like just like outright kill him if he cannot be useful, because she is offering more and therefore she gets to decide how he lives. She it's a kind of like end point. She's like the end point of how that worldview would work out, which I think by introducing it so early kind of works to show, you know, because like, so the first two relationships are the relationship with Denji and Pochita, and Denji and Makima, and I think those two are like sort of like polar opposites, right? They have nothing. They really have nothing in common, right? Like he is absolutely Denji is absolutely smitten with Makima because she has something, like she has something to offer him. He has been sort of searching for. Like one of his desires is to, you know, he says, "I'd want to be with a girl before I die," right? So I think it's like the reason he is much more, you know, he cares a great deal more about Makima. I think on the surface, then like say Pochita is because because it's like she is kind of using that, the idea he has of what would make his life the best life possible to make him subservient, right? It's not really his fault. It's not really Denji's fault that, you know, he is like, he just doesn't really understand how relationships work and how, you know, that you shouldn't, not everyone can give you something, and you shouldn't expect, you know, something out of everyone, and like not everyone should have to give you something for them to be, you know, like friends with you or something like that, right? But like, so she, like Makima uses that sort of like naivety to, you know, keep him subservient, right? And I think it's where you get into, I think after like establishing this for a few chapters, and then you get into the portion of where, you know, power, like Laws Denjin saying like, you know, her cat has been kidnapped, I need help, and then like has him get eaten. I think that's more it's so basically up until that point the manga had been establishing, you know, this was kind of the what has been like firmly establishing, okay, you know, this kind of relationship, this kind of like give and like take is the most important part of the series at this point in time, right? And then it introduces like Power and a cat to kind of I would say add further add a bit more depth to it, because it had just been going over like it basically been just like building the groundwork, and that was just to add more depth, right? So it shows Power, who is like very much within that mindset. If I will keep you alive, or I will interact with you if you can give something to me, and I can get something, right? But like her cat, right, is the only thing she kind of doesn't expect anything from, right? And it's like a blood sucking bat or a blood like consuming bat that like locks it like her cat away, which I think no, because like the bat and there's a bat demon and a leech demon who are explicitly within a relationship. Do you know what I mean? And I think it's more on a commentary of how I think it's more like commentary on how poisonous. Well, not I don't say poisonous, but I think it is poisonous. How poisonous this like sort of worldview can be, and also just like ordinary humans' sort of nature when it comes to relationships. Like so to comment on the latter, because it does like sort of feed into the former. Humans kind of like we're a social species, right? We desperately want to like have relationships, right? We want to be in a community, right? But there's also this kind of paradoxical nature where we kind of deny ourselves love. We can't really accept it, just like fully blown, because I think it comes from a matter of like security, right? Like we want to be secure. We want to like have like we want like everything not to be wobbly, but for like the ground to be like just flat. We want to have like that sense of security, and being in any kind of relationship, familial, like a friendship, romantic relationship, whatever, it's by nature it is unsecure, because it's like by having two people working together, it kind of like there's a bunch of different factors which can make everything more unsecure. So we kind of reject love out of hand because we're scared of being, because like no. So when you like, if we reject love, right, then the answer to are we loved is no. But if we don't reject it and we go, are we loved? And the answer is yes, then it kind of beckons the question, how much? And that question just scares us to death, because it kind of like it suggests like how much we're loved may not meet up to how much we love other people, and that can be a great source of insecurity, and make us feel less secure and stuff like that. So we like reject love because it would just be easier and it would be simpler overall. So okay, so now to tie it back to Chainsaw Man, right? Like, so the leech and the bat kidnap the cat, the cat, right? The one source of like genuine love Power has for another like being, right? Like she expects nothing of the cat, she just cares for it, right? She even goes on like if every life is trivial, why do I care? And she can't help but care. Do you know what I mean? So it's like the bats, the representation of our like insecurities, our insecurities, and like how poisonous sort of the worldview within Chainsaw Man can be. Actually, I forgot to talk about that, right? So here's the thing, right? So if you look at it from the themes of the stories as well, like how everyone in Chainsaw Man like expects something in return for something, or there's no point in having relationship. Like the bat is the kind of personification of that, right? The bat and the leech, right, are personifications of that, and the cat, right, the embodiment of genuine like love for another thing, is like sort of locked away with by it. This worldview kind of is poisonous because it does not allow people to have genuine, honest relationships, and it's just torturous. It makes us like this. The worldview within Chainsaw Man just makes everyone insecure and worried and upset and hurt. It isn't. It's not a good thing, right? So, I think so. Denji standing up to the Bat and the Leech and fighting them and like destroying them. Destroying the Bat more specifically, even though he does want something from power, it's more about how sort of, I would say, Vegeta has had like an effect on him, right? He does not, like, to an extent, he does not expect things from people. Sure, he wants them, but like it feels like it isn't until the sort of like until he's killed the Bat does he demand something, right? It's not an outset. He helps Power out anyway because that small effect of having Vegeta like self-sacrifice for him, do something without expecting something in return, has had an effect on him. It's like he is sort of, he kind of like in that moment rejects the worldview to an extent. He still is very much embroiled with it, and still has not understood that you don't need something from people, and you don't need to be able to give something to those people to be in a relationship. All you really need is to care about the other person and have the other person care for you back. But by killing the Bat, it does show how he does, to an extent, reject this worldview and kind of want to like, not, I would say, and desires, a better thing, because like, right, so when he first meets Makima, he does have like these backwards and forwards moments of going like literally, I think he refers to her as a psycho and then goes like, she's beautiful though, and stuff like that. Like, he is literally having a back and forth, and it's more representative of that in a less literal way. He despises being in these kinds of relationships, but he still does it because that's the only way he can feel any kind of self-worth, and he feels that's the only way he can really connect with people and stuff like that. But like, by him, like throwing shade at Makima, for lack of a better term, or killing the Bat, it shows how much he hates it and how much he just like wants something better, right? And in and then the leech appears, right, and he still wants to fight it, right, which shows how much he's still standing, even though he may be like absolutely like cut up and bruised and broken. He still kind of hates it, which shows, I think, is more of a reflection of like how he is like currently, right? He's not an emotionally okay character, right? He is struggling with a lot of aspects of himself, which the manga doesn't really comment on yet, right? It's the first like 3 volumes are very like sort of reflective of the relationships we form with people, and it's more concerned with that than being introspective. But it does show how this kind of worldview has hurt him, has broken him, and how but he's still willing to stand up to it and still willing to fight for more honest, more like better relationships, right? And it's but and then what happens is Aki, a person like Deji actually does not get on with and does not like at all, rescues him, saves him for nothing. You know, and it kind of reveals that even Aki, who is himself like sort of smitten with Makima, right, does not like this worldview either. Like within the volumes, volumes 1, 2, 3, he does take in power, he does take in Denji. Sure, Makima says to, right? But it is in that moment where he kills the leech demon to save Denji, right? It reveals how sort of how I won't say unwilling, but like but how even he does not like it and wants more honest relationships, right? It's more like it's a very revealing piece about how he and Denji are quite similar, and you know, like even a little care about each other, and for like in a very honest way, as opposed to because like they care for each other because like one can get something out of the other, and vice versa. And I think, and then you get onto the like, is it like the hotel? Like I don't know what the name is for the arc or anything, but like they enter a hotel and it's like time has stopped. They are stuck on that floor and they will be for like the rest of eternity. No help is coming, right? And the demon that is causing this is like, okay, hand over Denji and I will let you all go. And this allows the series to get much more like this. This is where the ooh, Yo Yuma, how's it going? Thank you for the raid. I'm talking about Chainsaw Man, and I have been for the last 27 minutes. I had a 5-minute thing. Yo Raiders, how's it going? To kind of okay, so I'm gonna summarize very quickly because we're getting on to I haven't really finished, but like we still got a while to go. But to summarize what I was talking about, for everyone who's just raided in, essentially, so Chainsaw Man, the first 3 volumes of Chainsaw Man are, except for maybe the near the tail end where they're like in the hotel and like stuck there. The series is much more interested with like reflecting on how we form relationships with each other and how how sort of toxic it is to expect something from someone, and how not toxic how was your okay sorry how toxic it is to expect, like how to form a relationship on expecting something from someone and them expecting something from you, right? And you can kind of see that through you know you can kind of see that through, you know, the first relationship is Denji and Pochita, and they are kind of, their relationship is built off Denji going, okay, I'm going to give you my blood if you help me out, right? And then that is kind of like reaffirmed that like their relationship is still that. Sure, it's much more deeper and much more meaningful than say the other relationships Denji has in the manga within the first 3 volumes, but it's still pretty much like that, right? And then when Vegeta like sort of dies, I would say metaphorically speaking, because he does not have much to do with the first, like within the first 3 volumes, he does not do anything besides being in like the first chapter, right? He kind of, so he metaphorically dies, right? He self-sacrifices, and it's this that kind of shocks Denji, because it's not like, it's literally a moment of, okay, I'm gonna help you achieve your dreams and I'm gonna get nothing from it, right? And this kind of moment in Denji's life does affect how he acts within the series, right? So when you get to say Power and like her cat, you know, being locked away by demons, right? There is a point where there is like he does like he only mentions he wants something from Power at the end, but most of it is literally he is. Okay, so quick comment like how okay, so the Bat Demon and Leech Demon are representations of how toxic the kind of expectations of building relationship from expecting something from the one and the other expecting. So basically, like both parties expecting something from each other, or the relationship is pointless. On top of also being how we as people kind of reject, we reject love because it makes us feel more insecure, and it's that kind of security. We actually, to tie it back right to the sort of relationships the series is commenting on, right? Like the forming contracts with people, you know, getting something out of them and like giving something to them in return or something like that is like probably the most secure you can get in a relationship, because there's like very easy parameters. Like you have to give X to get Y, and you know, if you do not give X, then like, there's no point in a relationship. Like, and you know how much you are sort of valued, because you are kind of, you know exactly how much you are valued because, oh, glad to hear your stream went pretty good, all things considered, Yuma. But you know, it's like it's the most secure you can ever get, because like it doesn't matter how much you are loved within that relationship, because all that matters is how well can you serve your function of getting X for Y, and that's it, right? So the so the Bat Demon and the Leech Demon, literal bloodsuckers, and you know, stuff like that, are sort of Denji, through killing the Bat Demon and Aki killing the other, kind of reveals how both characters do not like this worldview and are like open to more honest relationships, but they really struggle with it, right? So Denji, to add another thing on, the cat, you know, Power's cat is a representation of, you know, genuine, honest, you know, love. You know, you care about another person and don't expect anything back, because the manga makes it very clear that Power does care for this cat and does not expect anything back from it. You know, it's just a genuine, honest kind of relationship where, you know, they care for each other, and Power, like, even though believing all life is trivial, genuinely cares for this cat and does not think of it the same way she thinks of everyone else. You know, she does not think it is ground to be farmed or something like that. She is literally she just cares for it, right? So it is a representation of honest love, and the Bat Demon and Leech Demon being, you know, representations of how toxic like the relationships formed in most of the relationships formed in Chainsaw Man are, and also how, you know, people reject love because they are insecure, is so through Denji, you know, killing the Bat Demon and saving the cat is like reflective on how much he actually desires an honest relationship like the one he had with Vegeta. Sure, he did kind of make it into a I'll give you something to get something, but it is like through how much he like bears his soul to Vegeta and how much he genuinely cares for him. And like, even though he is upset after his death, right, it is revealing how much he wants like that kind of honest relationship, the one like Power has with her cat, right? And then when he is like, and by the end of the, like near the end of the, I'll just say arc for lack of a better word, where he's bruised and broken and missing a hand because of the Leech Demon, right? But yet still willing to fight. It does show how sort of the relationships he has formed with other people, where people expect something from him and he has to expect something back, has pretty much broken him, has bruised him, and he is not okay. Like, it is not left him like emotionally okay, and he needs like, and you know, it's like it's been very damaging to him, and he's still, and like it shows how desperately he wants just to be like friends with someone. How desperate, like he is willing to like just like he is willing to like not like go, okay, I'll give you X for Y. And I think you can kind of see that with how Denji is smitten with Makimo, right? It's like, sure, he understands like she will only be as interested with him as long as he is useful to her. He understands that to an extent, but it's like when he is completely smitten with her and like wants something from her, it's because like she matters to him, not because she serves a purpose, right? He has like dreams of, wants to be a girl before he dies, like touching boobs and all that stuff, like really juvenile stuff. But it matters to him, and he, through realizing that, doing like, well, to him, doing stuff with people he does not really care for does not really matter and makes him feel quite empty. Like, it does reveal how much he genuinely cares for Makima, and that he does, like, it's not like he wants something from, it's not like she doesn't serve a purpose, right? She is literally someone he cares for, and he wants to kind of express that love. And yet all Makima can see him as is something which can serve a purpose, right? And it's when you get into, I think, when the series pretty like firmly establishes all this stuff and firmly establishes that how poisonous these kinds of relationships are and how broken Denji is left by them. It's when you get into the arc where they are stuck in a hotel, and like they will be for pretty much all time, where like time is frozen on the thing, so like no help is coming because they're experiencing time much lower. They'll just die before any help gets there. And and the demon offering, going, okay, I'll let you out if you give me Denji, allows the author of Chainsaw Man to be much more introspective with his characters. And so it shows like two people who are, I can't remember their names off the top of my head, but it shows two people who are sort of scared and willing to sacrifice them, and these are the people who are sort of representative of the, what I call the contract worldview, right? It's literally that kind of going back to that relationship where you expect something for something back, right? Where you expect something and then you have to give them something in return, right? And it's, so there are two people who were like, yeah, no, we're like giving in, we need to like save our skin and stuff like that, right? And then there is Power, who I would say is like, well, yeah, maybe three if you count Power, right? Power is a bit of a wild card that, yeah, literally goes like, no, you go off and do the thing so I can get a Nobel Prize, right? And then there is Aki and the eye patch one. I can't remember any names, but it's like they are there. So the eye patch one and Aki are people who are representative of just honest, like good healthy relationships, right? They don't want to kill Denji, right? They want to find a way, because like if they were if they were like keeping strict to that sort of very strict relationship of like you give something to get something, then they would have been the first to go, right, hey, Denji's getting killed off, right? But they would have been the first to go like, okay, we're going to kill Denji off, right? But they don't do that. They go like, no, we have to find a way out of this without sacrificing Denji, which shows how so it creates this very nice. So yeah, it is introspective, a bunch of characters, and I think it's much more retrospective of Denji, but it's still kind of to a point very simplistic where it's just focusing on relationships people form. And to comment on, I don't think that by mentioning the Nobel Prize, I don't think that's a wasted detail. I don't think that's a throwaway detail, right? I think that's a very important point to what the series is trying to say with this kind of arc, right? It is. So then I would say the Nobel Prize is more about recognition and, like worth, right? If you have the Nobel Prize, you're famous and, you have. Sorry, something came up. Anyway, back to that. The Nobel Prize is more like when you get the Nobel Prize, you're like very, very famous and you are very, like, you have more worth because you've done something very cool, right? It's sort of representative of, that, like, you have a lot of worth because you've added something to society, right? And it's more a representation of, worth and, recognition. And I think by Power desperately wanting it, it does reveal something about her that, because we've just come off that arc where, with Power and a cat, right? And it does represent how badly she wants to be recognized and, like, held valuable by people for, like, not being able to give anything back. And by Denji also joining in, it does reveal how much he wants that as well. And it's when Denji figures out that the demon can sort of, like, can feel pain but is regenerative, right? And he basically goes, okay, so essentially what happens is, like, when Denji drinks blood, he can get his chainsaw abilities back and heal up and stuff like that. It's like a source of nutrition for him, for lack of a better word. And it's here where he starts cutting up the demon, so eventually he gives the heart to him and he can just, like, be killed, right? And it's what Denji calls it is a perpetual motion machine. I should get the Nobel Prize, right? Where, he's conflicting constant pain on himself and the demon to get. So it's literally like he rips up the demon, he goes anemic, then he drinks more blood and he's fine again, and he can carry on and carry on, right? And it's where he sort of goes, like, I've created a perpetual motion machine, I should win the Nobel, is more representative of, I would say, two things, right? It still shows how embroiled he is within that sort of, like, the contract worldview. He still believes because he is doing something, he should get something. But then it's also like he's putting himself in pain. He is hurting himself so that everyone else can get out okay. He doesn't admit it explicitly, but, he wants recognition. He wants to have worth. He wants people to see him as valuable for, helping them out just because, he can and, like, cares about them. He literally wants a more honest relationship. And through creating that kind of perpetual motion of just, like, hurting the other, it shows how it's more representative of how, he is willing to hurt himself and, he's more willing to hurt himself and damage himself for the people he cares about, because he wants. Yeah, he's perfectly willing to, like, sort of damage himself and cut himself up for the people he cares about. And he's like, by asking for the Nobel, he's, like, showing off, like, he's going like, hey, look at me, I'm willing to, like, do this for you. Please just care for me. And I think it's like by setting up a scenario where the author has to be more retrospective to make it a more compelling story, it does allow for this, it does allow for the series to be able to go to show very explicitly how much Denji does not like the relationship scene, and does crave for a more honest and healthier relationship, and that he's not getting it. And I think it's sure, it is motivated by other things, which still shows how broiled he is, but it is sort of like, sure, there are moments where he slips back into it and goes like, okay, I'll do, he is motivated by being able to get something out of people, and it shows how it's like there to show how slow and steady being able to get out of that like sort of mindset is, like how difficult it is. But it does show how much he desires that kind of thing, and it's like what he's asking for, right, is a kiss, which is like intimate. It's like intimacy, right? It's kind of it is motivated by his like sexual desire and stuff like that, but it is also showing like how much he craves intimacy and how much he craves just being, close to someone without having them, kick him in the teeth later on, right? By having it sort of like basically when his first kit ends with like people vomit, like with someone vomiting in my mouth, absolutely disgusting, by the way. Don't do that. If you're thinking of vomit, like go to the toilet or something, right? It shows how, like, I think it shows how like intimacy can just backfire, right? It's not like, it shows how less secure this kind of relationship is, right? Sure, for as much as Denji has to lose by not, like, say with Makima, like, if he stops being useful, he's just straight up gonna die, right? But it shows how, even though it is like it shows how like less secure, genuine intimacy is, and it shows because, right, so before this, right, Makima is intimate with Denji, right? It's like he's like, wow, he's like, wowzers, awesome, cool, right? He's like absolutely smitten with her, right? But it's hollow, right? Because she keeps going, right, okay, if you do this, I'll do this. If you do this, I'll do this, right? And sure, that's how it begins, but it does show, but it's more, like, the eye patch lady is more willing to be genuinely intimate with Denji. And, like, by her crossing so many lines with him, like, so this is where we get into the more sort of, I would say, problematic elements of the eye patch lady's character, right? She almost has sex with a child. That's how fucked she kind of is, right? And it's by sort of and wow, it's really twisted, and but I think it kind of works because it does show how, like, intimacy is, that can hurt us and is not perfect and is less secure than, say, the relationships most characters have with each other in Chainsaw Man, right? It is kind of, but then it is kind of, and while it's, and I think this is where we're going to get onto a very big criticism of mine with Chainsaw Man, right? It's like that moment in specific where the eye patch lady almost has sex with a 17-year-old, right? And it kind of like, it's like, it does beg the question of how acceptable is it to do that when fulfilling a plot point. Sure, it works, it's effective, it does show off, but when you've already kind of established how hurtful intimacy can be and stuff like that, it does kind of beg the question. It's kind of more to be like shocking. It's more for shock value and to be like edgy and stuff like that. So then to rather say, I would say, than to say anything of actual meaning. Sure, it has meaning to it, and sure, it is effective in portraying what the author wants to say, but it's also kind of like, it becomes hollow by like it becomes slightly hollow by just wanting to be like, wow, aren't we edgy? At least that's how I see it. It's like it's a bit of a shaky ground in my opinion, but it is effective in showing how hurtful and less secure like genuine intimacy is. But it is, I would say, it's still good at accepting the fact that Denji does want, you know, he does want a healthy, honest relationship, and it does show how that is going to keep backfiring on him, right? It's never going to be a, you know, a very clean, very sort of easy thing, right? And I think it's like through that it becomes like quite like touching in a way, because you know it's like it does admit to itself that, you know, in like being like genuinely honest with someone and like just caring for them, it's like less secure, and sometimes it can fucking suck, right? But it's ultimately more fulfilling than, say, the contract Wellview, because like sure, the eye patch lady is terrible, right, for what she almost does, right, and for what she does when kissing Denji, right? But it's also like she doesn't like she sort of stops, right? And I think stopping is important, right? I think it's important. Sure, it's kind of fucked to talk about, but it is kind of important, because then it goes on to be like, you know, Makima just continues to hurt Denji throughout the whole like first 3 chapters, right? She bends and breaks and, you know, keeps pushing him to do more reckless stuff so she can get something out of him, right? And she offers like, yeah, you can like say, ask any one thing of me if you kill the Gun Devil. Now, if you remember, the Gun Devil killed like millions of people in seconds, right? It's insanely dangerous. And by establishing the difference between these two, it does kind of show how by making every relationship a contract is going to hurt you more. It is going to like destroy you. You know, it's just painful and terrible. You know, you're going to get hurt no matter what. But by being genuinely intimate and genuinely honest, it does show how, yes, you are going to get hurt, and people can abuse that, and people can take control of you for it. But you're less likely to be hurt, if you know what I mean. It's like, sure, both like you're never going to find a path where you're just like, you're completely happy and nothing ever goes wrong. But it is showing by having the two kind of like having the two like dichotomy, right? It does show how, one, you're going to get hurt no matter what, because the second you stop being useful, you'll be dropped or hurt, right? But the other shows you don't have to be useful. You don't have to serve a purpose. You just be yourself, and you just have to care for the other person. The other person care for you, and you like, yeah, you're gonna get hurt, but it is kind of worth it. It's better, and I think by being more honest with how like by saying, oh yeah, no, sure, being more intimate, like genuinely intimate, and being more honest and open is better. Sure, you're still going to get hurt. It's like, it just contend with the brutal facts, like nothing is ever going to be perfect, but you know, this is as close to like the best you can get, and it is flawed, and it sucks, but you know, it's like, it's still more fulfilling and more, it still has a chance to be more fulfilling. In, well, no, what do you mean? It is completely more fulfilling, you know, but because it shows like how, because okay, so I think by like, so after Denji heals the Bat Demon, right? Like he goes like, okay, I want to touch. He wants to like fondle power, right? And it's like he finds the act completely empty. He's like so shocked by it, right? Because it's like, and then he realizes, you know, you have to care about the other person. You have to be genuinely more honest and open with them, and they have to matter more to you than to serve a purpose, right? And I think it's by I think by having that right, it not only works to kind of show how much he genuinely cares for Makima, but it also goes on to show that, that, it just like, it may suck. It just further serve the purpose of showing, like, yeah, no, it may suck to be genuinely more open and intimate, right? And that you may be, like, hurt, but it kind of is like, you do need it. Like, life is very hollow without it. And I think, like, to summarize the whole of Volume 1 to 3, it's more about how it's more reflective. It's less introspective and more reflective on how humans kind of how people need to form more honest and open relationships with us, or we will literally just like keep going around in like circles, like, or we're never gonna grow, and we're never gonna feel like fulfilled. We're just gonna keep hurting ourselves and being hurt and hurting others, which I think the manga communicates very successfully, even if there are some points which I think could have been done differently and didn't have to be so didn't have to rely on a shocking nature as much. I think I'm gonna end it there because I forgot to get water and my throat is just hoarse. I can feel myself growing hoarse. So, yeah, I think I've said everything I wanted to say with that. And I'm genuinely excited. I'm glad I, sort of forced myself to do this and talk about it for about an hour. But, thank you for everyone who, showed up and like stayed around. And, thank you, Yuma, for the raid and stuff like that. I don't know. No one is streaming at the moment, so I'm just gonna have to end it there. But I can't raid into anyone. But thank you everyone who stopped by and stayed around and listened to me rant about Chainsaw Man. But I think I've said everything I wanted to say. So thank you very much. Yeah, see you, Black Cap. See you all. Okay, thank you.